Hi everyone. I'm Seph, and I'd like to talk about something that I have been grappling with for years, but only recently had the courage to talk about, and that is depression, or my depression rather. Um, Alam ko marami nagsasabi lately na parang, depressed ako, when in fact sad lang naman sila, or they're just undergoing something na, di ba? They just had a bad day and they immediately say that they're depressed. I have been clinically diagnosed as depressed. I went to a psychologist in 2016 after not being able to sleep for 2 months straight. No, I've had a difficult time sleeping, and the psychologist diagnosed me as having depression. And since then, I have been managing it, or I've tried to. I'm not a doctor. I don't want to say anything scientific about what depression is. And to those who are watching, who are also depressed themselves, I encourage you to seek out help as I did, and also fight it. Yeah, treat it as any other illness that needs a doctor, a doctor's opinion or a doctor's diagnosis. Don't self-medicate. Iwasan nyo muna yung self-help book aisle ng self-help aisle ng mga bookstores. It really won't help you that much. You really have to have a professional telling you your problems or just diagnosing you correctly. But that's not what I want to concentrate on. Um, as someone who has been depressed clinically, um, diagnosed as such for 3 years now. Um, I knew there was a lingering sadness in me, and it all started high school pa lang, um, or even grade 6 pa lang. It started with me thinking na parang I don't know how to survive pag nawala yung lola ko. And I was in grade 6 then. No? I would always check up on her when I sleep over sa bahay nila sa Fairview. I would always go to her and make sure that she's breathing. So ganun yun. And I remembered early on in grade 6, I had anxiety attacks on what I would be when I grow up. Yeah, I was in grade 6 nung naiisip ko na parang, oh my God, hindi ako pwede maging jobless, hindi ako pwedeng maging hindi pwedeng ito lang yung work ko, hindi pwedeng ganito, ganyan, ganyan. I was in grade 6 then, and I think it was because of the immense pressure that I had growing up, being a smart kid. So I had to be, um, I had to maintain na dapat ito, grades or extracurricular activities, something like that. So I think it contributed also the pressure, being young and being you know academically gifted. So to those who are just watching, I am telling this story about my depression just so to bring it out there, to show people that people who are depressed don't necessarily fall into a box, no? Na parang sad lagi or something like that, or non-functioning, na nasa kama lang, hindi aalis the entire day. I am a functioning depressed person. I would like to think I have a very jolly outlook in life. I always smile. I have good friends. I laugh a lot. I make others laugh a lot also. And outside, you can see I'm very well composed and confident. But deep inside, when you're by yourself, when you're all alone, that's when the facade crumbles, and that's when you have to grapple with your demons or your monsters all throughout. I don't know really what caused my depression, but um, it just did. Probably my upbringing, probably because um, I don't know, emotionally abused by my dad, perhaps, and physically abused by my dad. Maybe I was his punching bag for a time. Maybe that, and I could blame him for that, but I don't want to. Um, Maybe I could trace it in elementary school when I was bullied by people like in public, the quadrangles, and the teachers weren't doing anything about it. Maybe that was one of the reasons. Maybe because um, maybe because I was struggling with my identity and gender also, and I had no one really to validate me or to assure me that everything will be okay. Probably, right? But I'm not here to trace the root of my depression. Just to clarify, this entire video is about what could a depressed person like me um, need as a support system from friends, from relatives, from loved ones, from workmates, diba? That would keep us going. Ang akin so let's divide it into segments. No? Um, for someone who was depressed like me, I would have wanted sana friends to be there. You know, not only to be physically there, not only to constantly tell you that, oy, sagot kita, or I have your back, or that I'm here to support you. Akin, when friends say that, it has the same weight and bearing as someone saying thoughts and prayers. No? It doesn't really mean anything. Thoughts and prayers doesn't mean anything. For someone who's depressed, like me, even the simple question, kamusta ka na? How are you? What have you been up to? We take that seriously. But the, the person who's asking it, the friend, must mean it. I I used to tell my friends before that we have to really mean when we say, how are you? Hindi yung parang nakita mo siya after a while, uy, kamusta ka na? Di ba? It has the same level as parang, uy, kumain ka na, or uy, kain tayo. It's the same. It's just a gesture. It's empty. But when we start asking, and if you know, if the person is depressed, or like me, you won't think that I am depressed, you really have to mean it. I wish I had more friends who would really mean it when I bump into them and tell me, uy, kamusta ka na? Tapos when I say, well, okay lang, same, same. And then they would press on. No, 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 no. Ano, kamusta ka? Yung totoo. Parang, and you don't have to say anything else. And you just have to wait, right? And just have, you can feel it if the answer is sincere or if the person wants to say more beyond the usual. So that I think is important. Friends who would genuinely check up on you, who would really ask you how you are, and who are really invested in your wellness. If I had more friends like that, I think I would not have kept all my problems to myself and feel alone. Because most depressed people feel that they're alone. And we drink up. So that's something that is worth considering. Ask someone genuinely, how are you doing? And don't let them just escape with an answer of I'm fine. I'm fine is the deadliest word among depressed people because it's a mask. I'm fine. A depressed person is never fine. Secondly, I would have wanted more patient friends, perhaps. Friends who would really be there to lend an ear all the time. I'm fortunate enough to have one friend who's like that, Ricky. I would usually just text him, parang, you have time, or and then he would call me, or I would just text him where you are. Do you want to grab something? And then he already knows what that means. That means I need someone to talk to, and he's always there. And I'm very very fortunate to have a friend like him. I wish I had more friends like him though. Um, Friends who I can call at midnight, at ungodly hours, when the pangs of depression are attacking. No, uh, I've had a lot of conversations with him about heartaches, about uh, really low points in my career, or low points in my relationships. So I've had several conversations with him about that, and I'm fortunate because he always lends an ear. And the worst thing that a friend could say or do is, especially when a person is depressed and they're really parang saying, uh, ha, oh, I feel bad, ganyan, ganito. And then the friend would go and say, oh, wala yan. Ako nga ganito yung na ano ko eh, napagdaanan ko. Or, friend, magdasal ka lang, kaya mo yan. Or, yung one of the worst is yung mga parang, eh, kasi naman ikaw, ito ginagawa mo eh. Ikaw, ito na lang ba yung ginagawa mo? These unsolicited advice, these condescending ways of just downplaying what depression is, or stuff that, or you just blurt out verses, biblical verses, or whatever, yeah, or whatever religious, I don't know, outdated lines that have been delivered by priests or pastors over and over that they have already lost their meaning. These do not help depressed people. We feel, or at least in my case, I feel like I'm shouting into the void and no one's really listening into what I'm saying. So, the important thing is just listen, lend an ear, and don't compare your friend's pain or suffering to your own pain. You are living both different lives, even if you're twins. You experience this world differently. Therefore, your pain is not equal to his pain. And stop downplaying depression as a mere phase, especially for those who are clinically depressed or who have been diagnosed as depressed. It's a process. It's not something na parang ginagawa lang or as an excuse. No, it's not. Um, when people look at me, um, they won't say that I'm depressed. I assure you that they won't say that I'm depressed. Um, there are moments when look sad, but I can bounce back. Mabilis. I'm a master at pretending. No, so even the way I look, it doesn't manifest what I'm going through. So let's go back to that. Na just don't compare your pain to others' pain. It's different. And don't say na mahina ka kasi kailangan manalig ka sa Diyos. Parang stop. Really, just stop. There's a place for injecting religion or spirituality into the situation and just listening. Because most depressed people just want someone to listen to their pain and to acknowledge that their pain is legitimate, it's not imaginary. I wish I had more friends like that. At least I have one. Um, I wish I had more friends who don't disappoint me. I I wish I had friends who don't leave, but they do because they're people, and we move. Like we have been migratory creatures for the longest time, and but the sad thing is when people move on, when people have outgrown you, or when they feel like um, the bond that you once shared is no longer as strong. I wish I had more people who would reconnect with me because in the past few weeks I have been trying to reconnect with people who have been part of my past, and yun lang. And of course, siguro because the distance is too far now, um, it's harder to bridge those connections. I wish I had friends who could see clearly when I'm just pretending to be fine. Um, because it's difficult to know, but you'd feel it. You'd feel it. A good friend would feel it because a good friend would know when someone's just faking it or when someone's genuinely experiencing it. I wish I had more friends like that. Now, let's go to family. Um, I wish I had a support system in my family that doesn't that that's more willing to talk about mental health issues and not merely dismissing it as magpahinga ka kasi. Magpahinga ka lang. Or magsimba ka kasi lagi. Because I come from a very religious family, and that is something, without me naman saying my points of depression, but when sometimes I just say, ay, nakakapagod, or nahihirapan ako sa ganitong bagay. Say, ikaw kasi hindi ka na nagsisimba eh. I always tell them na parang, ang kotse na laging nasa garahe, ang tao na laging nasa garahe, hindi nagiging kotse. Ang taong laging nasa loob ng simbahan, hindi nagiging santo. It's not about the structure. It's about your personal relationship with God, whoever God may be in your life. But I don't appreciate it when relatives dismiss it as, may pinagdaraanan lang siya. And we have to discuss this. In the Filipino language, is there really a Filipino translation for mental health? Depression. I've heard that depression is lumbay. Is that the real exact translation of what depression is? Is it lumbay? How about undergoing mental health issues? What's mental health in the Filipino vernacular? You know what it is? It is these words. May pinagdaraanan, may topak, may toyo, may something, baliw, ano pa ba? May sumpong, may sape, derogatory words. And the least derogatory one is yung may pinagdaraanan. As if you just walk right past it and then it will be gone, right? And that you're the reason why you're still there. And I have to tell people that, no, that's not the case. And yung pa yung nakakatawa yung misis sabi, ay, dati matalino yan. Ganyan, di ba? Parang, I don't want to be, parang, I don't want to feel embarrassed because I'm smart. No? And being smart does not necessarily mean na nasobrahan siya ng talino, ayan, nagkaroon ng topa. Or it doesn't add like that. Like, a famous senator was once tagged as Brenda for brain damage, and that's not a good way to call someone who is suffering from a mental health issue. We have to have a conversation first on how we want to call this. Because when we name something, that's when we can further understand it. Something more neutral, something more inclusive, something more holistic. Nothing that would be parang pinagbubulungan lang na may something siya, may pinagdaraanan siya. That shouldn't be the case because mental health is a health problem, or it's health. It's part of the body. It's something that we need to treat and to diagnose and to understand, diba? That's with the family. I wish I had tawag nito. No, tapos na. How about yung personal relationships mo, like your lovers or ganyan? Relationships mo, partners. I wish I had a partner who, knowing that I am undergoing certain stuff, would not leave. I've recently been out of a relationship, and although that made me more depressed, I guess, but it's not the main reason why I got depressed. No, I have already been depressed going into the relationship, and perhaps my partner didn't know that. So when the depression started manifesting, that's when it started to affect the relationship, and eventually, it went kaput. I wish I had a partner who would just stick with me for a while, because my mental health issue does not define who I am. It's a part of me that I am still trying to manage and trying to overcome and also understand. So I wish I had that. I could find someone who would not, would understand. Because after all, people who are suffering from mental health issues are just wanting of people who would understand them. That's it. Now, lastly, this is for society. I would have wanted society to, or people in my community to, not treat mental health as the parang fad. Gets nyo yun? Parang an issue na parang, it's nice to jump into kasi maganda yan. Like, advertisers who would churn out these commercials or ads on mental health just to feign advocacy. That's not how you do it. If you have, if you attach commodification into this issue, then you're already not helping. I recently met someone who claims to be an advocate for mental health issue, who is not, according to him, not undergoing any mental health issue at all, but who wants to profit from it by creating this mental health institution that would be present in all malls. What really ticked me off is when he said that he wants mental health solutions or therapy to be retailed. I'm like, but mental health is not a clothing store, or it's not something where you could pass it off as a commodity. It's not like that. So that really, turned me off, because I have been wanting to organize something like a support group, like an AA for people who are undergoing depression, because I know a handful of people who already told me that they're depressed or they're bipolar, etc., who are so ashamed of what they're undergoing. So ashamed. Why? Why is there so much shame and stigma about mental health or depression? Why? Is it because we can't function as normal people? Is it because we we look normal, but we don't act normally? Why? I hope people would start the conversation about mental health in the plane of just inclusivity and understanding. When people look at me, I I look efficient. I look, ano tawag nito? I got my shit together, right? But they don't know what goes on in my head. Um, so if you don't fit in a particular box, a smiling person could be as equally depressed, no, as someone who never smiles. Likewise, a person who never smiles doesn't mean that he or she is depressed. So I hope we can start having taking away the stigma and making sure that help is there. And when I talk about help, because I've sought it 3 years ago, why is it that most of the mental health facilities in major hospitals in the Philippines are always at the basement? I went to the medical city. Um, it's where I got my diagnosis for depression. And you know where the psychologist met me? In the janitor's closet, or it's that's my impression, because there was a mop, there were several chairs stacked, there were tables. It was a windowless room with fluorescent lighting, and sometimes you would be interrupted by people coming in, like utility people. So I don't know why that's the case. But in the States, they have a lounge where you can just lay down and talk about your feelings, etc. I'm not saying that there are no clinics like that in the Philippines. I haven't been to one, or it's too expensive for people to really seek help. But if we want to make mental health solution in retail, then I think what we should do is provide a facility, a center, or a support group where people from all walks of life can try to seek help. Only when help is made more accessible to people do you do you really begin to resolve it. And it has to start with hospitals also. You have to make. I mean, come on, guys. Why in the basement? Kaya nga, di ba meron, I heard this local politician before who was spotted in Makati Med. Sabi, this politician is nasa basement. And at first I didn't know what you mean by nasa basement. And I only realized later on that it means may tililing, which is also a derogatory word for someone undergoing mental health issues, right? So, yun lang. We There's already a stigma about finding help, and when you do seek help, even at the most expensive facilities, you still feel that there's shame there because it's in the basement, and that ayun, it's not something that really helps people who are depressed. Ayun. So I guess I have it all covered. So how am I? Kamusta ba ako? To be honest, I really feel like I am just getting by. And I'm just going through the motions, and I am not in full control of my feelings, emotions. There have been a lot of times when I would really think about ending it all, and it's constant. And I hope when someone hears that, they won't just dismiss it or they won't just shun it. I've had that before. I went on a date with someone and I told the person, I contemplated about killing myself, etc. And then, mas parang galit na galit siya na parang, oh, ano mapapala pag ginawa mo yun? Ganyan, ganyan. I know the person means well, but god damn, there has to be a better way to say it, you know? Na hindi naman yung tipong, don't pet me up by attacking how I feel. Feelings are neither right nor wrong, they're always true. Um, so that's it. When I see people who take their own lives because of depression, I feel sad. Not because the person is weak. People who are depressed aren't weak. They're not. They're the strongest people I know. Cannot imagine the shit they've been through. If I told you my story when I was a kid, um, everything underwent, you wouldn't have survived it. We're not weak. We're strong. Every day is it's a struggle. I'm just getting out of bed. Can you imagine? That's a struggle. And we have to do it every day. So cut us some slack. But sometimes, people resort to ending it all because the pain becomes too unbearable. The death seems like a lesser pain. So, what I'm trying to say is, instead of saying, sayang siya, ang hina niya kasi. Just say, I wish I could have been there to lend a hand, to support, to be to be more understanding. So I wish I have been a better friend. I wish I have been a better sister or brother. I wish I have been more tolerant and understanding, or I knew more. I wish I really meant when I asked how that person is. We shouldn't blame people who did not survive this disease because I sought help. I did it. But it didn't help me because it was uncomfortable. And some of the treatment are too expensive. Like for a session, what, 1,000, 1,400, like one session for an hour. I mean, and then they would give you like medicine that would make you groggy or it would make you uh, less functional. I don't think I have met anyone who went to a psychologist who kept the medications. I have not met a single person like that. They always stop midway or they always stop because it's really not helping them. So we have to have more research into this also in the Philippines. For the church or for religious sectors, do not make this as an opportunity to convert us. Okay? We would come to you when we find the light. Okay? Don't make this as a recruitment process for you because it's not. It shouldn't be. If you're truly like followers of God, then don't try to use verses, antiquated verses that do not necessarily apply to what we're undergoing. And I'm sure when this video is posted, a lot of people would start, these um, religious rants or self-righteous people would try to inject something about it. I'll just draw God into the conversation. I have a personal relationship with God. I'm perfectly fine. He created me, didn't he? Or didn't she? So I'm fine with that. But people are less understanding. So there. I'd like to end this video by saying that for people who are depressed or undergoing any mental health issue, fight. Not everyone is as brave as we are. Fight. Even when it seems like every day is a struggle and you're not winning anything. Fight. Not just for your family, not just for your friends. Fight for yourself. And for those who have decided not to fight anymore, please don't judge them. You don't know what they've been through. So that's it. Hope to see you guys again. And just be kind to one another. And be understanding of each other's struggles. That's it. I would like to crack a joke at the end of this video, but nothing. I'm already running more than a half hour into the video. I don't think if I can upload it on Facebook anymore. Let's see. So, see you on the other side.